Section 5's video is looking at your assessment plan that you've got. Again, based on what's been approved by the Dean for your assessment plan is what you need to make sure that you include in your details in here. So again, this is rolled over from last time. So if you need to change anything, then we've got our edit buttons and we've got our delete buttons on the side here. When we look at doing any of this information, making sure that you label the assessment item exactly the same as what has been approved by the Dean, and also the weighting is exactly the same. Please ensure then when you're putting your marked out of, when you're looking at each assessment item, make it the same as what the weighting is. So like in the first case here, the weighting on the quiz is 20%, we're going to mark it out of 20. Some staff have problems when we get down to if you have a final exam, and in this case showing on here, this one from last time was organised in the exam period. So sometimes conveners will have things that are run centrally by the exam centre or things that are school-based that the conveners will run themselves. So let's just go in and I'm going to just add in an assessment item and show you what you need to do. So picking whatever it is that's relevant to your particular assessment item. So I'm going to pick exam. I'm going to pick constructed response, this one, and I'll go next. Now we'll ask you in here whether your exam is centrally organised activity or a school-based. So be careful when you're doing that, because if you've got central on the front and you're trying to update it and put school-based, it won't work. You need to delete the one you had for a central exam, come in and redo the whole thing again and put school-based. So let's put school-based there. We go through looking at all the questions that we've got. We will put a weighting in here. Let's make it 30%. We're going to mark it out of 30. I'm just going to put some details here so that it just flicks through for me. Okay, if we look at the academic calendar for the end of trimester 2, let's say we're going to set this one up for the 21st of October. I'm going to put 2020 in here just because of the purpose of doing this. Let's just scroll back up to the top and I've said it's school-based. We could put a end date if you're going to leave it open for a few days. So let's say we're going to open it for 2 days. With that one, by default, pretty much every exam is 2 hours with 10 minutes perusal. We're going to say that it is an open book on this one. Here, we're going to pick all the items that we've got there. Okay, and just put TBA in there just for now. Following down here, depending on your piece of assessment, whether it's a set of tasks, so if you've got a set of quizzes that you do, you might need to pick yes there. If it's a mandatory pass component is another one which you've got there. So let me just tick that to show you. So it's going to ask you things of how much is there going to be a minimum percentage mark. So when you flick through there, you'll sort of see how much. So if we put 20% on there, just say, for example, minimum percentage, you had to get 20 on that one. And if we hit save, okay, I think I need just to add one more thing in the title, final exam. So if you miss something and it's stopping you from doing it, go up the top, you should be able to then pick it up. So I'm just doing this deliberately just to show you. So on this one that I've added down the bottom here on the last line, you can see I've actually put the date in here of what I want it to be. The percentage is 30%, and it's telling the students that it's going to be marked out of 30, but they must get a minimum 6 out of 30 to actually pass that piece that we've got there. Okay, we've got reattempt and all those other things there. So I'm going to just delete that now that we've had a look at that one. Now, if you were looking at this one was the wrong one, after you've fixed up everything, you can actually just go and delete whichever one. So I'm going to just delete that one, then I'll put in for that. Now, the other thing that you need to be mindful in here, in the first video that I did, we looked at the assurance of learning. So I'm just going to jump back to there for you for a minute. In the assurance of learning, if you've got something that you've added into here you need to map it to the particular piece of assessment that you were told from the program support officers. So just say in this case we go back to the assessment and it was related to the assignment. If we go and we edit in here, if all the other details are correct, we come down, we must make sure then we tick that box there. And when we go down to the bottom and hit save, you will see it's picked up the number 2.1 and thrown it in here as well. So if you do have a piece of assessment that needs to be mapped for an assurance or learning purpose, please make sure that you make the tick in for that relevant piece of assessment. The only other thing on here for assessment is making sure you hit yes or no for the supplementary, okay, and that will then pick up the details from there. So if you've got a course that has a little bit different details that you need, I suggest that you speak directly with your program support officer, your academic support officer, for the details that you need to help you set up what you need to for that one.